Welcome to the Fierce as Fuck podcast. My name is Amanda King, and I help women step out of the fear that is holding them back and into six-figure sales. This podcast will teach you how to grow your business organically without all of the bells and whistles. Yep, that's right. No websites, no sales funnels, none of that shit needed here. I grew my coaching business from $0 in sales to $100K in 3 months. And now it's my mission to teach you to do the exact same thing. So let me ask you this. Are you ready for some epic shit? Hello, everybody. We're going to have a discussion about something. I don't know if I would call this a controversial topic, but I would say that this topic and maybe my opinion and my beliefs about this topic may rub some people the wrong way today. I get a lot of messages from women in my DMs saying things to me like, hey, Amanda, my significant other is looking at other women. So for example, when we're walking down the street, he'll check out another girl, or he goes on Instagram and Facebook and he likes other girls' photos, other girls' posts, and it really makes me uncomfortable. How do I communicate to him that I need him to stop that? And I have thought of about 1,000 different fucking ways to try to breach this topic within Instagram stories, but I felt like it needed a podcast episode because it is something that so many women struggle with, as well as I can't really explain myself and my beliefs on this in a super short IG story push. So here is my personal, once again, opinion about this topic. I don't mind that my significant other, that my husband, looks at other women. It does not bother me. I, as a married woman, will check out and look at other men as well. Does that mean I am less interested in my husband? No. Does that mean that I find him any less sexy because I'm looking at someone else? No. Does that mean that I'm going to go and have sex with or do whatever dirty deed I want to do with the person I'm looking at, the person I'm hearting's post? No. It means that I am human and that I find all humans, men and women, I check out women all the time. I find everyone really beautiful. I find people attractive all of the time. I find people attractive not only by their looks, but by the connection I have with them. I find people attractive who can intellectually have really good conversations with me. I am attracted to a lot of people at all times. And so when my significant other is looking at porn or checks out a girl walking down the street, or if he hearts someone's post, I don't take it personally. I look at it as if, okay, well, I'm doing the exact same thing and I still love, cherish, adore him. I'm not going to leave him, but I'm also human and we have eyes and there are very beautiful people in this world. And sometimes it's nice to just fucking appreciate them, to look at them and show them that we appreciate the way that they look. I feel good when other people look at me. Sometimes, I'm going to say sometimes because there are some creepy moments when that happens, but I don't make it mean anything about me personally. And I can understand why other women do, right? And this is where you may get pissed at me. And this is where you might, I don't know, we might lose a little bit of ourselves right here, our connection right here. But I'm not going to sugarcoat something and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm always going to be transparent. I think there are two different cases, first and foremost. If you are upset that your partner is watching porn because it's another woman besides you, and or looking at videos or looking at women walking down the street, What is making you so insecure? Because what you're doing is you're projecting your insecurities onto your partner. Your partner could love the living fucking shit out of you, find you the sexiest person on this fucking planet, and still look at other people. And it means nothing about you. So why are you making it mean anything about you? What are the insecurities that you have that are coming to the surface when you see him like someone else's photo or look at a girl walking down the street? What is it making you believe about yourself? And don't get me wrong, y'all, it took me a real long time to get to this point where I am comfortable with my husband looking at other women as they walk down the street and myself looking at other men without making it fucking mean anything about how of a horrible of a person I am. But there was a time that if I was talking to someone, I would get, and I will say it would always end up being it was a relationship that I did not feel secure in. Let's just say it that way. It was a relationship that either the man was not making his intentions known, his feelings known, or it was a relationship where I just felt less than my significant other. It was my insecurities that I was projecting on them. So the first example I can give you is I was in a situationship with someone once, and I knew that they adored me physically. I knew that they found me super fucking sexy and they wanted to have sex with me. But what I didn't understand was their intentions and their emotions and their emotional connection to me, right? Was I just a fuck, or was I something that they wanted more? And I was scrolling on Facebook and this random girl comes up on my profile where it says, you and like you might want to be this person's friend because here are the friends that they have in common. And the guy I was in the situationship with, his name came up, and it was this girl who was like super skinny and she had this super tight dress on and she had huge boobs. And I remember seeing that and feeling so fucking insecure in that moment of like, oh my God, he's friends with her. She's so much prettier than me. And like, I'm a thicker girl. So any girl who's thinner than me, I used to go out in a fucking downward spiral, right? I would sit here and I would say, wow, she's thinner than me. Wow, she has bigger breasts than me. Wow, she's so much more sexual than I am, because her photo was extremely sexual. And I would sit there and I would make it all about my insecurities. And they were literally just friends at the time. There was nothing going on between them. But in my head, I made it something bigger because I was insecure about the relationship I was in with him. I was insecure about his emotional connection to me, which made me insecure about my body and the fact that maybe my body's not enough for him. Maybe I'm not thin enough. Maybe my boobs aren't big enough. Maybe I'm not pretty enough. It was all of my insecurities I was projecting on that moment. And the same thing happened in multiple relationships. Like I remember I dated a guy in college. He was 6'4" and he was so cute. I thought he was fucking out of my league, to be quite honest. Like I literally just thought he was so good looking. And I was like, I'm 5'3" at the time. I was like a little bit on the stockier side. And so I felt so insecure anytime that he would look at another girl, which he rarely ever fucking did. But if any girl came into our, I don't know, sphere of influence, right? If he met someone new at college and like someone brought their friend of a friend of a friend and this new girl would come into our group, I would instantly get defensive and protective. And then I would get jealous if he even looked at her or even spoke to her. And it wasn't him because he was never unfaithful to me. He was a decent boyfriend. We were together for 3 fucking years. We like lived together in DC. He's the reason I'm down there. Like I was just so insecure because I thought he was so much better looking than me. I didn't see my value in that relationship. I didn't see my own worth in that relationship. And so those insecurities made me project that, oh my God, well, I am not as cute as him. I am not as sexy as him. Oh my God, he's 6'4", and all these women are going to be fucking so obsessed with him. Oh my God, I made it something that it wasn't because of my insecurities. And when it took me like literal years until I met my husband, which was about 9 years ago, will be in this February, that I started feeling secure about being like, oh, okay, he still loves me. He adores me. He thinks I'm the hottest fucking thing on this planet. That man loves to fuck me in every shape, way, and form. On days where I feel disgusting and terrible and ugly, he tells me how hot I am. He emotionally supports me. He's intimate with me. He gives me the connection. He's not looking at the other women because he wants something in them that he does not get with me. He's looking at them because he's fucking human. Just like it means nothing when I sit here and I go on TikTok and I binge watch Bradley Thor's. If y'all know who Bradley Thor is on TikTok, he is, oh, that motherfucker. He is a beautiful man who literally his whole TikTok is basically him chopping wood. And just saying kind of not dirty sayings, but sayings that are so geared towards the female gaze, which is one of the reasons I love his videos, because yes, he is a conventionally attractive man, but the women in his comments go nuts because of what he says. And it's such like that sexual innuendo, that little teasing, that like not overly sexual, but you know that there's like sexual meaning behind it. I will binge watch that motherfucker's videos like it's my goddamn job. I will look at another man and think, wow, he is really attractive, without making it mean that I am not happy in my relationship. And so if your significant other is looking at other people, ask yourself, what am I insecure about in this relationship? Because you're insecure about something. And it may not be the relationship as a whole, right? It may be that they're the best person in the entire world for you. It just may mean that you need to look deep inside of yourself and ask yourself, what about myself do I not love? Because your significant other will tell you how much they love every fucking little inch of your body. But until you recognize that, and until you love yourself at that level, you're never going to appreciate that. It's not even you're going to appreciate it. You're never going to believe it. It is like when your significant other gives you a compliment and they're like, wow, you look really pretty today. And you're like, oh, well, I feel like shit. You're not even accepting the compliment, right? And you can still feel like shit and be like, thank you so much for saying that. I really needed to hear it today. I am not feeling great. So thank you. It is when we are sitting there and just not recognizing our own value, our own worth on this planet. It is our insecurities that come up, and notice how I say our, not your, because I understand why this would trigger you. I understand why this would make you upset. And I'm also going to kind of give you this reframe. I don't know if it's a reframe, but let me lend you a perspective. Why do you believe that you are in competition with that other woman? And part of it is because you were brought up in a patriarchal society that pins women against women. We make other women competition, right? We do it. Oh my God, in my high school years, I had girlfriends, but I would call them like frenemies, because I was in constant competition with them all the time. It wasn't until I got into like late adulthood that I actually started like really liking having girlfriends, because I was built to believe by society that other women were my competition. They were my competition for success. They were my competition for love. They were my competition for attention. And so why do you feel that you need to compete against other women? Because it's not a fucking competition. Each and every single woman on this planet can have the most success, love, abundance in their life. You're all like worthy. You're all deserving of it. You all can have it. We don't need to pull each other's hair out in order to gain it. But society tells us we have to. And if you ever stop to think why that is, it's because if we are so busy tearing each other apart all of the time, then we will never recognize that we actually hold the most fucking power in this world over men. We will never come together and then take that power away from them. They will have ultimate control over us all of the time because it's us fighting with each other all of the time. They don't have to do shit. All they have to do is throw one little comment, one little competition out there, and all of a sudden, all of us are fucking pulling each other down, beating each other up, rather than recognizing what's actually happening here. Other women are not your competition because you're in a league of your own. The universe is your fucking league. The second you recognize that and you recognize your value, other women cannot compete with you. There's no point. You don't feel it necessary. And you recognize that all of you, each and every single one of us, deserve happiness, wealth, love, and abundance. And so stop looking at that person that your significant other is looking at like competition. They're not competition. They are a woman who is attractive, who is beautiful. Now, we discussed what being in a secure relationship looks like when it comes to looking at other women. Now, I also recognize that there are a lot of relationships out there that aren't secure. And I wouldn't say necessarily they're not safe, but they're kind of providing you with some unsafety. Your significant other, if your significant other bashes your body, says anything negative about your body, and then goes and looks at other women, and you communicate that that makes you uncomfortable, and you communicate, hey, I don't like how you sit here and say that you don't like my belly. And then you go and you are hearting all of these women's videos that have like super flat stomachs and super big breasts. Like that doesn't make me feel good. And your partner then does it anyway. That is a red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. I'm holding up the red flags here. If you are in a bad relationship and your significant other is looking at other people and you communicate that to them and they don't stop, or they don't tell you that it's nothing about you, or that they love you, or they are not, I don't know, providing you with emotional intimacy, then you need to break up with that person. You need to recognize your own value and your own worth in that relationship, and you need to walk away. You need to look at the men that you are surrounding yourself with and ask, are these the right quality of men that I deserve? A lot of the times, the answer is no. If you are surrounded by men who are constantly picking apart your looks, picking apart your body, you need to fucking cut all of them off. Cut them all off and find yourself a better men. And this can even be like family members. You can find better men out there. So how do you find better men? Well, you've got to work on yourself. The whole aspect of this podcast, ladies, is like the whole slogan is fuck yourself first. Why? Because you cannot look outside of yourself in order to achieve validation, happiness, abundance from other people, love from other people. You've got to look within you and get right with your fucking self before you're ever going to be able to be open to receive the quality of individuals that you deserve in your life. And so if you are sitting here and you're looking around and you're in some deadbeat relationship where this asshole is going on and looking and commenting on all of these women's profiles, and it is making you feel fucking terrible, you are sitting here communicating it to him and he doesn't give a fuck, get out of that relationship right now, because it's only going to cause you heartache and you don't deserve that bullshit. And then get right with what you do deserve. Get right with your value. Get right with your self-worth. And this may require you taking some time off of dating to work on yourself. The biggest difference I noticed from when I was dating, I would like to call myself like a serial monogamist almost. I was that woman, that girl that from my college boyfriend I told you about. So I was 22 when we broke up, maybe 23, up until, no joke, like 6 years later, up until I was 28 is when I think I met my husband, or 29. I dated a guy every 6 months. Every 6 months, I would have like little like relationships that would last maybe 8 or maybe a year, but I would jump from one ship to a fucking another. One to another. Never recognizing my own value, never recognizing my own self-worth, dragging luggage and baggage from one relationship to an next because I wouldn't allow myself to heal and grieve from one relationship. I just needed a distraction because I didn't want to deal with my own emotions in these relationships. And so I would jump from one to the other, not recognizing that the common factor in all of these failing relationships was this bitch. It was me. I dated guys that, looking back, I laugh that I had dated, that I have cried over, that I allowed myself to feel less than in their presence. I dated men that didn't deserve me, and I did things to men that were really fucking mean. Like, I'll own my own shit. I was not a good person back then when it came to relationships. I broke hearts. It's what I did. But I had to take an entire year to myself off dating. After my last boyfriend, I was like, what the fuck? Why did I even date this dude? I dated this dude for 6 months. He was so immature. He was just not my type at all, but I needed a rebound from the last relationship that I had gotten into. And so I stumbled into this relationship. I was not really sexually attracted to him. I was bored. And that's why I entered that relationship. And after that relationship, I stopped and I was like, what the absolute fuck is wrong with me? Because I'm the problem here. I'm the problem. I am bringing all of these men into my world because this is the caliber of men I somehow unconsciously or subconsciously believe I deserve. And I had to spend a year working on myself to recognize the quality of men that I actually deserve. I had to love on myself. I had to have what I like to call come to Jesus talks with myself about the fact that I fucked up a lot of that shit too. There were some good men in there that I dated that I destroyed because of my own bullshit, because of my own unhealed wounds, because of my trauma. And I had to sit there and I had to look at my relationships and say, I am bringing in these people. Why? What am I doing? And that led to an entire year of self-discovery, of learning my worth, of owning my value on this planet, of treating myself with the dignity and the respect and the love that I was expecting other people to treat me with. And the second I stepped into that and I actually embodied that and I embraced that, that's when I met my husband. It was so quickly. It was like a year of just self-discovery. And the second I decided to date again, I met him almost instantaneously. It was crazy. I had spoken to like one other guy, maybe, and I met my husband. And it was boom. The second we met, we were inseparable. But that was because I did so much work on myself. And I recognized that I deserved better than what I was allowing myself to receive. So if you are in a relationship where a man is constantly making you feel like shit and you're communicating to him that he is making you feel like shit because he is looking at other women's photos and he's doing it from a really terrible place because he's making it mean something about you, then you need to let him go. You need to walk away and you need to recognize that you deserve so much better and start working on getting better by working on yourself. Because it shouldn't mean anything when someone looks at other people. There are people that are just naturally attractive in this world. We're human, right? I think that I always say to people, my niece once said to me, I'll never forget it. I said, oh my God, I think it was the UPS guy had delivered a package to my sister's house. And I said, holy shit, he's so cute. And my niece said, Aunt Amanda, but you're married. And I said to her, I'm married. I'm not fucking dead. And I think that's because, and I have very unconventional ideas and beliefs. So maybe this is just me. But I believe that society tells us that we're only meant for one person in this entire world. And once we find that person, we should be satisfied on every fucking level with that one person. And no one should ever, like, we shouldn't want anything more. We shouldn't have to look because our partner should be the most attractive person to us. And I think that puts so much pressure on that one fucking person. It puts so much pressure on you to maintain this, I don't know, box-like image that society is trying to put you in. And just because you're married does not mean you cannot find other people fucking attractive. You can find other people attractive without acting on that attraction. You can sit here and say, wow, Bradley Thor, he is a gorgeous man. If I ever met him in real life, would I try to fuck him? Absolutely fucking not. I just appreciate the way he looks. I appreciate the words he says. I appreciate him chopping wood. I don't know. I'm from like Northeast. I'm from upstate New York. I have a type. It's the burly guys. Like my lumberjacks. But it doesn't mean anything about my marriage. It doesn't mean anything about me. It's just I appreciate the male and female form. Because if a woman walks by me and I love her jeans and her ass looks great, I will say it. I will be like, holy shit, I love your jeans. I will say to her, you look incredible. I love that dress. It really brings out the color of your eyes. I will show her the appreciation that I think that she deserves because she put effort into looking like that. And so I want to show her that I noticed that effort and I appreciate that effort and that she's a beautiful human being. It doesn't mean that I want to go fuck her or him or anybody besides my partner. And that's why we have to stop making everything so black and white. And it's not our fault, right? Society tells us like, once you're married, they treat marriage. It's so funny. It's like you go from one prison to the other, right? It's being imprisoned almost with school because school is no longer fun, right? With standardized testing and everything. It's like we're putting our kids through so much pressure at such a fucking young age. And then once they get into college, if they get into college, that pressure amplifies, right? And so we go from one prison and then we come out of that prison to have a little bit of space, a little bit of freedom. And the entire world says, no, you have to get back in. You have to find a soulmate and you have to get married. And your marriage has to look like this. It imprisons you in this idea that because in 1950s, a marriage was a man and a wife and 2.5 kids with a white picket fence and the ranch style house. That's what marriage is supposed to look like. And that's not realistic, nor is it modern. And like with all of the, what is the word? With all of the growth and evolution that we've had over the last, 36 years I've been on this planet, marriage is different from everybody or for everybody. And so just because you're married doesn't mean that you can't fantasize about other people. I had a client ask that once. Well, if I fantasize about other people while I'm masturbating, is that considered a form of cheating? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. The difference between fantasizing and acting in real life is the cheating aspect. You can fantasize about another person. It doesn't mean that you don't love your person. It just means that sometimes you need some variety to get off. And men watch porn like crazy and no one says shit to them. But if a woman fantasizes about another man, oh, good God, no. No, absolutely not. As long as you're not acting on it. And even if you are acting on it, if you're acting on it with consent, you go do you. If you're acting on it with your partner knowing and being fully supportive of it, you do you. If that's something you want to explore, then you have to communicate that with your partner as well. But it doesn't mean anything about you if you're in a secure relationship and your husband's looking at other women. challenge you to go look at some other men. They're beautiful. There are some beautiful men out there, ladies. There are beautiful women out there. There are beautiful people. And it doesn't have to be so black and white. Stop looking at it like that. Society is feeding you this, right? It is like, even with politics, it's you're either Republican or Democrat. Like there's no in between anymore. There is so much fucking gray in this fucking world that is unexplored because society is telling us that we have to make everything black and white. It's not. Don't allow society to dictate how you show up in this world, how you show up in your marriage, what your marriage is, or your ideas, beliefs, or opinions. It gets to be whatever you want it to be. Always remember that. And if you are in a relationship with someone and it really does bother you that they look at other people, ask yourself number one, like, what is it? What are the insecurities that are being brought up during this? Because that is huge. Whether you're in a supportive relationship or an unsupportive relationship, you've got to address those insecurities. You have to, because jealousy is insecurity, right? What are you so insecure about? That's going to trigger the shit out of you. That's okay. That's what I'm here to do. Recognize your insecurities, work through your insecurities, and then communicate to your partner why it makes you feel insecure. And if your partner accepts that, apologizes, explains to you that it's nothing to do with you, that it meant nothing, great. That's a good partner. If the partner then goes on to gaslight you, to make it seem like you're being ridiculous by voicing your opinions, ignore you completely, then it's on you to get rid of that partner, because they're not good for you and you deserve better. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will catch you at the next episode. You guys, thank you so fucking much for listening to the Fierce as Fuck podcast with me. Remember, the key to being successful in your business is taking the information you learn here and reworking it to fit your business and your style. The most important thing you do now is move your ass. Don't sit on this information. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Take messy, inspired action and watch your business take quantum leaps in such a short amount of time. Be sure to join my Facebook community, the Fierce as Fuck Tribe, to get involved in a community full of badass bitches who are taking massive leaps, not only in their lives, but in their business as well. Oh, and of course, don't forget to head over to iTunes and leave me a review. Until next time, my beautiful bitches.